Dalibor interestingly argues that poetics is ontological, whereas aesthetics is not, for which his leading example is the Gesamtkunstwerk. And as my example, I've chosen the Palau de Música Catalana, which you probably know, with its, I mean, in general, Art Nouveau is a Gesamtkunstwerk, being supposedly free of all earlier traditions. And this quasi-church-like interior with its stained glass windows and its side aisles, I mean, it looks remarkably like the Frauenkirche in its basic configuration. With its unbelievable carvings at the Saint-Efrons, where girls singing the flowers of May are paired with the Ride of the Valkyries from Wagner's Valkyrie, and Beethoven is paired with Anselm Clave, who is responsible for resurrecting folk music, and folk music is paired with classical music, a tree with a Doric column. You can see where I'm coming from on this. However, it does raise the question of what is poetics? Insofar as it arises out of Aristotle and tragic drama carries a speculative relation to the rites and ceremonies of the polis. Does this therefore mean that the sacred requires poetics, i.e. analogy or similitude? But poetics itself is not necessarily sacred, though of course sacred things were customarily represented in poetry prior to moving into philosophy and prose. One of the key emphases of Aristotle is, of course, mimesis, and he refers to it as a mimesis of life at the beginning and later as the mimesis of praxis, which involves a dialectics between morals and ethics. And this, of course, attracts Augustine's convergence of the aptum and the pulchrum. Poetics is, of course, rooted in language. Poetry is, first of all, language. And it's I would wish to expand language from written or spoken language to all of our modes of involvement as lingual, what Dalibor used to refer to as linguality, from the German Sprachlichkeit. In any case, poetry becomes a paradigm of how the world's meaning holds together and of creativity, particularly after Romanticism, where, however, it begins to migrate to the interior and the transcendent psyche becomes something like psychology. In The Visible and the Invisible, Merleau-Ponty's primary insight is that we do not live, it's impossible to have an ontological void. This therefore means that language is always the site of the hidden and the revealed, the dialectics that so preoccupied Heidegger.